Good evening, folks. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined by my merry cohort this week. We have a RP hologram of the Artie variety.
Hiya.
This week on Pilot Review Show, we've got some interesting stuff to get through this week, including the new launch for our Age of Discovery that we're about a week into at this point. We've also got some upcoming stats for our Europa-class cruiser. And hopefully at some point through the show, our resident Timberwolf will be joining us. He's running a little bit behind. I think he got lost at the vet again, you know? Just saying.
Waylaid in the woods and all that?
Yeah. They threatened to flea dip him, and I don't think he took too kindly to that, you know? But, with that said, we're actually broadcasting from the new Discovery Bridge, so if you guys were kind of curious what that's going to look like, this is what you're going to be getting for crossfield players, and I believe the Walker also gets this.
This is the Walker, yeah.
Oh. Well, there we go then. So, yeah, that's what you're going to be getting. But, anyway, let's go ahead and dive into our stuff. We have our starting Welcome to the Age of Discovery blog, basically talking about some of the changes from our new executive producer. It says, well, I'm not going to read all of it, but yeah, so thoughts on our little blog here, Artie?
I'm pretty happy with what they simply explain here with the new additions and the slight changes, like to the how they further explain how they changed the task force operations and the mission journal itself, how they've reorganized the seasons. But yeah, it was basically just a simple, this is what we did, this is what it is, and we hope you guys have fun with it. That's what this blog is all about. So
yeah, but they definitely did touch base on some of the stuff. We now have our Tier 6 reputations we can work towards. We now have our new random task force operations, which are very good. So yeah, quite a bit of stuff to get through. But not really a lot we could say about blogs like this, but definitely check that out. You guys might enjoy the read. Next up, we have our first set of patch notes for the 9th. This is launch day of our Discovery stuff.
Yep, so I'm just going to read off the list here since it's not a very large list, and I'm not even going to touch the known issues. So, let's see. Resolved an issue that could sometimes block progression during Discovery tutorial when attempting to complete the defeat the remaining Klingons mission step.
You're one set of patch notes ahead, good sir.
Oh, I am? Whoops, I am on the wrong set. My bad.
So he is reading the ones from the 10th instead of touching base on the ones from the 9th.
That would be my mistake. You go ahead and cover the ones from the 9th, and I'll wait on the 10th.
So, a little bit of tripping over ourselves happens once in a while. I blame the lack of caffeine.
It's a bug.
Yeah. And I blame Timberwolf for being late. Just saying. But anyways, there is a lot of stuff that actually came in with the 9th. We got quite a few things that we could cover on here. A lot of it, you can see as I'm scrolling down, the patch notes just go on and on and on with stuff, but
no wonder you were confused when I started saying things.
Yeah, that's but the big thing that one of the big ones we have is the reputation extension. Our reputations will now go all the way up to Tier 6. We worked out the math, and you're looking at about 30 days once it is sponsored in order for it to get to Tier 6. You're going to need about, I think we figured about 900 marks in each reputation to get to Tier 6. And if you waited till the last minute like me, didn't get all of your marks up front, then your task force operations, or your new random TFOs, which is another good feature that came in, is actually a good way to get them. Now, in addition to your standard rewards that you would get. Let's say you queue up and it throws you in an ISA. You'll get the standard rewards you would get for an ISA Advanced. Let's say 150 marks, just to keep the math simple. Then, if you do good in the mission, you get the random task force rewards on top of that, a random task force, blah, words, on top of that, and you may come out of there with a choice box for, say, 75 additional marks. And you could come out of there, hypothetically, with 225 marks, and you could, out of your choice pack, you could get fleet marks, you could get competitive, Lucari. This gives all of the marks above and beyond what you would normally get. You might get lucky, get something you like. You might get Flip the Bird and get something that you've not played in a while. So it is kind of a little luck of the draw element to it, but one of the big things. We also have our new streamlined mission journal. This was the big thing that they had talked about. They wanted to remove some of the side missions from, or what is considered side missions, not necessarily part of the main story, and put those in the available mission tab, and kind of streamline it a little bit. Some of the big things we did notice is that they've removed most of the level requirements from the missions. The only requirement is that you either complete or skip through all of the other arcs in order to get to some of the later missions. And there is actually an issue where some folks aren't able to replay, and I'll touch base on that in just a minute. But or when we get to the bug section, I should say. Yeah, words. But yeah, that's the very big thing we have with our mission journal. Now, really quickly, and I'll get some thoughts from you, Sir Artie. I want to show everybody where you get to your side missions, which includes Boldly They Rode, Spectres, some of those missions, if you want something from one of those. In your mission journal, you would bring it up, you would go to Available. Then, as you can see from the old Cold War mission replay, I have all of these missions here from the Marine arc. I can pretty much go in and select whichever one I want. Same thing with Spectres. Say everything old is new. I can hail, I can scroll down, and I can see what I'm going to get. And just as a little bit of something interesting, consider, folks, Jem'Hadar set at level 15. Not that I did that or anything. But anyway, yeah, thoughts from you, Sir Artie.
So, I really like that you can take these somewhat really cool story missions and do them like real low levels, comparatively anyway. And like you were saying, you can get the Jem'Hadar set now a lot earlier than you could have beforehand. But along the lines for, say, for the RP aspect, now it's a little bit easier for RP fleets when you get a new character, a new player to the game, and they go, so what's canon? Now you can just go, everything that's in the in the episode tab minus, say, Future Proof or Yesterday's War. So they know not to deal with the temporal activity stuff unless that is what your guild is all about. But that's besides the point. It does streamline it a little bit easier for any new players to the RP community, I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, like you guys can see, there's quite a bit of notes here. We're just kind of picking out some of the big things that we've seen. Now, one thing I would touch base on is the Discovery Starter Pack. They did add that. So you get, let me find that in discount packs. Where is he taught? Bundles. Anyway, big thing I was going to say, folks, is, well, one thing that we did discover with the Walker class that you can level up with is it actually has an Infinity Tier Warp Core, meaning it will level up with you. So, although we didn't get our levelless phasers like we were hoping for it, you can at least get that. So that is one little something.
Yep.
But now, moving along officially to our second set of patch notes from the 10th.
Right. Alright, so moving on. So we have resolved an issue where blocked progression during the Discovery tutorial when attempted to complete the remaining Klingons mission steps, so they fixed that. Resolved an issue in the Exchange UI that was causing the item cost to not be displayed. That was a big one. Resolved an issue in how inventory was being stored. Resolved an issue that was causing the grand prize announcement to not display the Herc Ravager escort carrier, so that was a simple one there. Resolved an issue that causing the console universal temporal trajectory shifter to have the incorrect ability icon and no recharge timer. So that would kind of confuse people in the middle of combat. Resolved an issue that was causing the defense of Starbase 1 TFO from not appearing in the landing page for players above level 60. All tabs in the category of the C store have been moved to the end of each tab list. So that simplifies how everything is set up in the C store. Removed the Victory's Life and Dominion lockbox from loading screens and replaced it with Age of Discovery, so that's good. And the credits have been updated. So that's very nice there. A very simple thing there for the credits.
Yep.
But yeah.
So that's pretty much what we've got for our second set of patch notes.
Do we go on to the third?
Yeah, we might as well cover those while we've got it going. So, for the third set of patch notes, we have resolved an issue that was causing enemy critters to not match player level when a player joined a task force operation midway in. Resolved an issue that prevented Vulcan characters from being able to proceed in diplomatic orders when speaking with Vulcan aide Tapella. Removed the Once and Future agent from Discovery Faction Mission Journal. Moved Task Force Operation Age of Discovery handoff mission into the Klingon War arc. Added a 5-minute cooldown to the Defense of Starbase 1 Task Force operation. This should improve its interactions with random task force selection. Unlocked Age of Discovery mission group for all non-Discovery captains. And you can now go directly to secrets even if you don't have, or even if you haven't finished the rest of your mission journal. An updated description on Age of Discovery starter pack to include ship claim instructions.
Yeah.
I know that's...
Yeah, that one I know was a bit of a confusing thing for players that got the starter pack. They didn't realize that when you got the pack, you need to go to the ship tab then and just claim it there.
Indeed. But, yeah, that's one of our other big ones. They had, you can see they've been working on some of the known issues. A few missions have been removed for now to kind of polish them up and put them back in, redo a little bit. Then, they have been working to fix bugs. I know there's quite a few that we've been able to report on our end from testing different things. There's still probably a few out there at the moment, but we're going to try to track those down, get them fixed up. But yeah, seems like a pretty good collection of notes overall.
Oh, yeah.
But we will have these in the description for you guys. Like I said, there's quite a lot of notes to get through. Far too many that for us to cover in one sitting here on the show. So, yeah, we'll have that for you. You can check it out. But next, we have the Be a Part of Starfleet Academy's yearbook.
Okay, so with the opening of Age of Discovery, Cryptic Studios actually is wanting from people from October 9th all the way to November 6th to take screenshots of their characters and send it to them. The link to where to send it would be on the page itself. And basically it will be added to a yearbook screenshot contest. Every Tuesday they'll produce a new yearbook page from the Starfleet Academy yearbook starring your characters. If your screenshot is picked to be part of it, you'll earn one of 5 brand new titles themed around your years at the Academy. Not only that, but the winning screenshots will be used as loading screens within the game. So that's a pretty fun thing if you have a cool screenshot of your characters and whatnot. This is the best way to get it back in.
Oh yeah, that's... They've always had some pretty good results whenever they've done these contests, I think.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see the winners. Yeah, definitely check that out, and if you're one of the folks that win, congratulations in advance. But, yeah, definitely send those screenshots in to them, guys. I'm kind of interested to see what everybody's going to come up with. Then we have our Welcome to 2409. So, some slight spoilers for those of you that may not have made your Discovery tunes yet, but surprise, surprise, you're being temporally displaced. It says, "Greetings, temporally displaced operative. Before reading the following missive, please understand that knowledge of its contents is closely monitored and highly classified. If you are found disseminating this information without explicit permission from your assigned temporal investigations contact, disciplinary actions may be pursued up to and including aggressive memory refactoring for both you and any unauthorized recipients," and nobody wants that. So, basically, this is sort of a little RP type of blog that explains who your contact is going to be for your different factions, and it's sort of a what do you do now, or sort of a regulations handbook, I guess is the word I'm looking for, maybe, Artie?
Simplify this, yeah, it's basically when Agents of Yesterday came about. I've heard from a lot of people that have been wanting to play temporally displaced characters that they had no idea how everything would be set up correctly. And this whole article actually assists that, because now you have an idea of what you would be covering, what's good, what's bad, actual NPCs that in game that you could talk to about, like what to deal with your different temporal agents and whatnot, and also gives you a fun little thing of in one of the cutscenes, you see your character getting all these like screen blips of different things happening from both the television shows and in game, going, "Oh, I'm now learning all this stuff." They basically add that in a section called "I don't know what I don't know," and gave you the link to the Accolade lore section of the Gamepedia. So now you know what you don't know.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But yeah, beyond that, it's basically assisting players if they wanted to get further into the temporal displaced operative stuff, and make it a little bit more of a RP fun thing for those kind of characters.
So yeah, very interesting thing. I'm kind of surprised, actually, to see this coming out now. I would have thought this would have came out with,
Agents of Yesterday?
Thank you.
That was...
I could not think of the expansion name for some reason. Apparently I need more caffeine.
I feel like it was going to, but they didn't have it prepared or anything. So when people, became those temporally displaced operatives, they didn't know that there would be such a big jump for it. I think they might have thought that, oh, they'll just, be in the 25th century, nothing to worry about. They'll get a cover identity and all that, but the player may not actually realize that. So actually having it down in somewhat of a fun little story blog like this actually makes it a little bit more fun for people, I guess. So I feel like since we have another character section for temporally displaced operatives, I feel like, yeah, now it makes sense that re-added into, more or less.
Makes sense. But anyways, we have our Age of Discovery wallpapers now. For those of you that want to spruce up your desktop or spruce up your background, you can go check those out.
Oh yeah, very nice little screenshots there for basically what you see there, of different sizes and whatnot.
Yeah, not really a lot to say about those, but definitely check those out if you're somebody that enjoys keeping your wallpapers the current expansion, then, or the current season, well, now you got some more fun stuff to play with. Coming up next, we have our STO at Destination Star Trek Birmingham.
Oh yeah, so Star Trek Online is heading to Destination Star Trek Birmingham. It's the largest Star Trek celebration in Europe, and tons of our favorite Star Trek and STO actors will be there, including Jerry Ryan, Jeffrey Combs, Alexander Siddig, Michael Dorn, and a lot of people we've seen more recently, like Mary Wiseman. So, along with that, the EU design lead, Tim Davies, will be hosting the panel with Mary Wiseman about her work with Age of Discovery, and will probably reveal a lot of the new Star Trek Online plans for 2018 and, well, what's left of 2018 and up until 2019. So, as it says here, be sure to check that out. And further down, it shows you the details of when that panel is going to be and whatnot. So there you go.
Yeah. So if you're one of the folks that's going to be going out there, definitely hope you guys enjoy yourselves. But yeah, that's going to be our STO Birmingham con that's coming up. Next, we have our Help Remaster Deep Space Nine. So essentially, we've got some of the guys wanting to update the 25th anniversary stuff for DS9, remaster a little bit, and kind of put it back out there a little bit. But, yeah, they don't really talk too awful much about it in the article here. They go more in depth in the video, but yeah, thoughts on this, Artie?
I really wish I knew how to make things more high def. I don't have the technology for it, but they do show you how to help out with that with the link there that says become a high def hero. That is to help you out get to what you help out with this remastering of DS9. And it takes you to the What We Left Behind looking back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine webpage. So it's a really good feel for it, I feel like. So
indeed. But coming up now, we have our stats of our Europa class. And I'm going to read through these really quick because the stats are kind of similar to some ships that we've had before. But I'll read through them real quick, then we'll get our thoughts on this. So for our C-Store version, you can pick it up starting at level 50. It's got a base hull of 46,575 at 50, 54,000 at 60. Shield modifier 1.1, 5.3 weapons layout, 3 device slots. You get a Lieutenant Commander Tactical. You get a Commander Engineering, Ensign Engineering, Lieutenant Commander Psi/Command, and you also get a Lieutenant Universal. 2 Tactical Consoles, 5 Engineering, 3 Science, base turn of 7. It gets the Cruiser Command Array, so you get Strategic Maneuvering, Shield Frequency Modulation, and Weapons System Efficiency. And then you get the Battle Cruiser Mastery Package, which gives you the Physical and Kinetic Damage Resist, Crit Severity, Energy Damage Resist, and Maximum HP. And then the Reactive Reconstruction. This also gives our SIF Linkage Console, which is actually rather nice. I'll show you guys the stats of that in just a minute. And then for our fleet version, you get 3 tactical, 5 engineering, and 3 science, so you get an additional tactical slot. But, yeah, that's our stats for the ship, and it can load dual cannons as well, for those of you that are interested. Now, we'd kind of hoped our resident Timberwolf would be here because he's put in a good bit of testing with the ship and would be able to give some of his thoughts as well. But in the meantime, Sir Artie, your thoughts on this beast of a ship?
Well, I've tested out a little bit. Sadly, I'm not extensive with all the number crunching as you and Timber, but from what I can tell, it runs real well, both with cannons and beams. I haven't done a full torpedo but I feel like it could work with that as well as most other builds. But it does feel like it's a good sturdy vessel. It's somewhat of a like set to be in a tank style, as well as a meant to heal the team instead of being the main damage dealer. But I think it can flip flop either way. As for more to the design, I say for my end, it looks very nice. The one funny thing that I've noticed that I haven't heard anyone else about this and talking about the design of the ship. The bridge is actually in that little back arm there between the nacelles instead of on the saucer itself, like normally. And you can see this again when you scroll further down to the fleet version of the Europa, which looks like the Nimitz. So it's a pretty funny differential design from current starships, anyway.
I have to say that does kind of interest me as well as to why they did that, and it's it'd be something to ask if we ever got the chance.
I kind of feel like in universe wise, it's kind of like a flagship. It's meant to be like the command ship of the group to lead the charge, so it's got to have that commanding presence of standing on top of the tower bridge, like back in World War II when you had giant battleships. But in this case, since it's in the front of the battle line as it's a battle cruiser, it's probably along the same lines. So
makes sense. But that is our stats we have for the ship. Now I'll show you guys the console, because I'm actually using it on my ship right now. Now some of these numbers are going to be a little bit distorted because I'm, well, on a bridge and technically on a ground map. But you can see it gives a little bit of shield power setting, a little bit of hull capacity, which is going to give maximum HP. It says to teammates within 10 kilometers for 20 seconds, plus 50% hull regen, reduces the post-resistance damage they would take by 50%. To self for 20 seconds, you take 50% of the damage prevented this way as radiation damage, plus 100 to 200 bonus all damage resistance rating based on number of targets, plus 50% hull regen, prevents those affected from activating this console for 60 seconds. So basically a very, very nice defensive team-based ability. I would say, at least to my knowledge, I don't think we've had a console quite this potent since way back with the Steam Runner itself, with the Team Fortress console. But yeah, so quick comments on the console there, Artie.
I really do feel like as of recent releases of the new ships and whatnot, a lot of them have been more of somewhat team-based, at least some of them anyway. So instead of just being like a full tank or full DPS or full science, now you get kind of like a fourth group of being somewhat of the mobile repair ship, if you feel like it. If you don't feel like you can ever really pull the numbers of tanking or DPS, I feel like this will be a cool middle ground for a lot of players to be that, helpful healing the healing the allied ships.
I would hope you're not healing the enemy. Just
that would be a bug. We don't do that. But no, yeah, that's why I feel like a lot of these new consoles, like this one, is trying to help out with, trying to promote team healing and team organization instead of just going with the big punch of torpedoes or some weird space magic.
Okay, that makes sense. Anyways, that is our stats and some of our thoughts on the new Europa Heavy Battle Cruiser. But if you're a fan of Discovery, if you're somebody that appreciates battle cruisers, I'm actually going to highly recommend this ship. I think everybody's going to like it. So, moving right along, we have the Will to Fight RP blog. Now, I've not really gotten too much into this one. But thoughts from you, good sir?
Alright, so This story takes place on the bridge of the USS Sabrovia. And main character of this is Captain Zykir Shran, the descendant of Captain Shran from Star Trek Enterprise. So there is that relation. They do talk about this in the blog. But the story basically is talking about Shran just taking in the Sabrovia, taking in the other starships, the crew, the other characters that he's met or seen, and those that have played the tutorial would recognize some of the other names from the other ships and other NPCs that you come across. And funny enough, as a tad bit of a spoiler, at the near end of the blog, it does mention the player character in the tutorial. So he's right before the tutorial, when you meet him, it's this blog. So that's a cool tie-in right there.
Absolutely.
But no, there's a good story there for talking about, the lead into the tutorial and other side stories. So there you go.
Alrighty. I think that about sums it up pretty good. We don't really want to get into too great a detail because, again, we don't want to be that guy that quote-unquote spoils the movie or the blog for everybody. But if you're somebody that appreciates the RP blogs, definitely check this out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But coming up on our next segment of the evening, we have our budget build finally. Dun dun dun! Alright, so this week and everything, this is actually going to be the first part of a two-part series that I'm going to be doing with the budget builds, where we actually cover what can you do right now with the Tier 5 reps that we have to prepare a ship potentially for the Tier 6. You've gotten, say you've got all your marks, you've got everything prepared and ready to go. All you're waiting on now is for your projects to complete and you can get your Tier 6 reps. Well, obviously you don't want to just sit around and do nothing. So what can you do to prepare a ship now to get ready for when you do have access to the new alternate energy types and the other goodies coming with Tier 6? So that's kind of the premise of what we're looking at here. Now this particular one we're going to be doing as a one-key budget, or one-key budget builds assume that we have sold a lockbox key, and that's what we're using to fund the EC for the build. Now the current going price for keys at the time of making this build was 4.1 million. Everything else must be free or cheap as possible. And just because I feel the ship doesn't always get the respect it deserves, we decided to go with a fleet light escort, or the Aquarius T5U in this instance, and we've actually made it into a tank, which I know is kind of shocking for some people, like, oh my god, can we really tank it in an Aquarius? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can, actually. So for this particular ship, since we got a lot of goodies that came to the plasma energy type, we decided, why not go with plasma, and a ship a lot of people wouldn't expect to run it. So for our Aquarius, and I know this is a personal favorite ship of Artie's,
Raider flanking for the win.
because I've seen the evil things he does with that ship, and it's not pretty if you're on the receiving end. So for this particular ship, you have a 4-2 weapons layout, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, does this ship get an experimental weapon as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is one thing to be aware of, folks, is that you do actually get an experimental weapon with the Aquarius. It just doesn't show it in the builder, which is something they actually need to go back and update. But anyway, so for your standard weapons, we have 4 of the dual plasma beam banks from, I believe these are the Ragnarok mission, is where we picked these up. And then in the rear of the ship, we have our crafted Omni Beam, And then we have a plasma turret, and there's a reason we have that, which we'll take a look at and explain in just a minute. Then for our shields or engines, deflector and warp core, this is a personal favorite of mine, and something we recommend quite a bit here on the show. We have our Soul Defense set for our shields, engines, and deflector. Now, Soul Defense, what makes it so special is it gives a free neutronium alloy armor worth of resistance based on whether or not you have the 2-set bonus. So it gives you a free neutronium of damage resistance without having to slot an actual neutronium console. And then the 3-piece is actually a very potent healing ability. And on a ship like this, where you don't have the greatest amount of hull to begin with, this is going to get you from near dead back to full, if not very close to full. Then we have our warp core, because our Soul Defense set does not come with one. And we went for the temporal phase overcharged core. And this is pretty much the staple core we recommend a lot of people go for at the budget end, because it is very hard to top this core in our personal opinion on the free level or the budget level. And what is so special about this core is it gives a temporal negotiator type effect, which is going to cut your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration of its capacitor ability. But that's what we have for our weapons, our shields, and engines. So going for more damage negation and healing, and potential bridge officer cooldowns. Now you have 2 device slots. We always like to think of devices as personal preference, but one device we do still recommend for people is the subspace field modulator, which comes from the Spectre's Arc, and it comes from the skirmish mission. So it is still a very nice device. Now you have to get to that through the available missions. Once more, to find that, you would go into your missions tab, go to available, and scroll down until you see the list here. Now, if you hadn't played the missions previously, I will make a note really quickly. You will have to play through all of the other missions in the Ark before you can find it. So that is one little thing to be aware of. And then, of course, you've got other devices like deuterium surplus, you've got the energy amplifier batteries, and quite a bit of options that you can pick from. Alright, now for our consoles. This is where it's going to get interesting. With our Tier 6 reps and our updates to rep, you might see some items here that you're wondering, okay, why are those here? Because they didn't do anything for plasma, or they don't do anything for plasma, such as the piezoelectric focuser and our hydrodynamics compensator. Well, as a lot of people may realize, and with our Tier 6 reps, we actually have alternate energy types now for the different reputations that we're going to unlock once we unlock the Tier 6 reputation and we complete that. Now for Lucari, its alternate energy type is actually plasma. So you're looking at Lucari plasma, and the hydrodynamics compensator, you may recognize that from the 8472 rep. That's the one where we get our counter command turrets, which is our heavy biomolecular turrets. You had beforehand a phaser and a disruptor variety. Now you're going to get access to a plasma and a tetrion turret. So you're actually getting 4 different energy types off of your counter command rep now, once you hit Tier 6, versus what you had beforehand. So we'll take a look at our consoles and then explain some of the setup and what we're gearing for. Now our tactical consoles are the basic plasma infusers, which we get from one of the story missions. And this is basically just going to boost our plasma damage. Now for our engineering consoles, you recognize a couple of staples. We have our Trillium deplating from the Ragnarok mission. This is going to give it's basically a neutronium and a field generator slammed into one. It's going to give a bit of damage resistance as well as shield capacity. Then we have our assimilated module. This is going to give a nice little bit of critical chance and severity, along with a bit of control expertise. Then we have our hydrodynamics compensator. Now, the bonuses on this console aren't really the greatest to write home about, but we're actually going to have that in preparation for our 2-set bonus that we'll take a look at in just a moment. Then we have our Reinforced Armaments console from the Beyond the Nexus mission. This is actually going to give us a nice little chunk of power transfer in the meantime. For our Science consoles, we have the Temporal Disentanglement Suite. This is going to give us all around a good bit of bonuses. It's going to give some critical chance and severity to us based on our auxiliary power level. It's also going to give us a nice chunk of shield capacity, as well as a bit of shield damage resistance. So an all-around great console to have. Then we have our piezoelectric focuser. Now, some of you are probably wondering, why is this here? Well, the big reason now is since Lucari also touches the plasma energy type and Polaron, you actually get a sizable boost to your plasma, and this is basically going to function as a 6th plasma tactical console, which is very, very good to have. So you're going to have this, and then later on, if you decide to, once you get to the Tier 6 rep, you could incorporate the Lucari plasma weapon that is coming down the road. But that's what we have for our consoles and stuff. Let's take a very quick look at the set bonuses, because there are a few that we want to take a quick look at. Well, the main set bonus, I should say rather, is our biomolecular weaponry. Now, I have the disruptor turret here. The set bonus is actually the same for each one. We have our 2 set of biomolecular instability. Now, this is the reason we have the hydrodynamics compensator on the ship. This is what we're using to prepare for later. Now, if you wanted to in the meantime, it wouldn't technically match the energy type, but if you want to get used to having the 2 set bonus, you could slot this on there for now. But this gives you a 7.5% bonus phaser, disruptor, plasma, and tetrion energy weapon damage, and 2% increased chance for biomolecular weapons to apply their incubation debuffs. Now, what is so special about this is this isn't just your run-of-the-mill damage bonus. This is what's known as a Category 2 damage bonus. And basically, in a nutshell, how you tell the difference between a Cat 1 and a Cat 2, without getting too super technical on people, a Category 1 bonus buffs strictly your base damage. This is stuff like your tactical consoles. That'll say plus 30% phaser damage, or plus 30% plasma damage. That's strictly buffing the base damage of the weapons. Now, a Category 2 damage bonus is one that is taken into account after all of your other buffs. So when it says 7.5% bonus damage, that's traditionally going to be a Category 2 effect, meaning you're going to get a lot more overall damage boost out of that than you are strictly a Category 1 type effect. So you're going to get a huge damage bonus there, which is what we're preparing for by the plasma turret. Now let's look really quickly at our Lucari 2-piece bonus, because this is something you will be able to pick up later. And you can see they added the plasma bonus to the piezoelectric technologies. So you get a 15% Category 1 plasma weapon damage, get the drain expertise boost, and then of course there's the Polaron and photon projectile effects. So you're getting quite a bit of stuff. Now keep in mind, this is preparing, so you're not going to have access to all of it right away. But this is to get you ready for that. Now, as far as our skills go for the build, it's pretty much the standard setup we've been using. It's a 14 engineering, 14 science, 18 tactical. I'll mouse over really quickly for those that want to see it. Now, for everybody that wants a more technical explanation, we'll have something for you on the channel that you can check out and get the more in-depth of why we picked the certain skills that we did. But the guys were able to see that. For our specializations, we went with Intel Primary, Miracle Worker Secondary. This is going to balance our threat gen and offensive ability with a bit of healing as backup, because you can't DPS if you're dead. Then for our captain traits, we have Accurate, which is going to offset some of the Fall and Scatter Volley penalty. We have Beam Training, which is our R&D crafting trait. We always like to assume you've leveled at least one crafting school, and in this case we've chosen beams. We have Beam Training for free beam damage, Elusive for free defensive value to the ship, making your ship harder to hit. Then we have Fleet Coordinator for free damage based on how many people are in the party, a minimum of 2% and a maximum of 10% damage. Then we have our Grace Under Fire, which is our career-specific trait for engineers. If you are not an engineer, but you would like to take this build for a test drive, swap in your own career-specific trait in place of Grace Under Fire, and you are good to go. Next, we have the Nanite Repair Matrix from the Midnight Mission. This is going to be a nice little heal whenever you drop down really low. We have our Point Blank Shot from the House Peg mission. This is going to be a nice little kick-in-the-pants damage boost to enemies. The closer you are to the target, up to a certain maximum. Then we have the Redirected Armor Platings from the Renegade's Regret mission. Whenever you get shot in the sides or rear of the ship, you get a damage resistance boost, which is going to be very nice on a ship like this, as you're zipping back and forth. Then for our Starship traits, this is one of the ones where we're actually able to get all 4 traits filled out. We have our Best Defense. This is going to grant a whole healing buff to attack patterns along with their normal effects. Predictive Algorithms from Intel. Going to give a nice damage boost along with some accuracy. Going the Extra Mile, which increases the effectiveness of our heals a little bit and gives us some temporary HP when we heal somebody above 90%. And then we have our Honored Dead, which is going to be a nice damage reduction for us and is actually very cheap to pick up for Federation characters on the exchange, and is worth about 10% across the board resistance to you on average. Now for space reputations, we're assuming still at the moment for this build the Tier 1 versions of the powers, because we're assuming you've not yet acquired the Tier 6. And folks shouldn't have Tier 6 until about the start of next month. But anyways, what we have is our Advanced Target Systems for free severity, Aux Power Offense for a accuracy boost and damage boost based on Aux Power, Precision for free critical hit chance, and then our Magnified Firepower from Gamma Rep, which is going to give a nice static Category 2 damage bonus. For active reputations, you have your Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. It's a nice little AoE slow and physical damage ability to foes. Bimolecular Shield Gen, which is the little green ball that people throw up in space, reduces damage taken to the shields, gives a bit of healing to them. Deploy Sensor Interference Platform, which is a nice little oh crap I'm gonna die button. You smack this button, it will poof up a little sensor interference platform that will taunt enemies to itself until the duration runs out or until it is destroyed, whichever of those two things happens first. Finally, Quantum Singularity Manipulation. This is a plus 100 to science stats for the duration. This is the rank 1 version. And a nice little temporary cloak effect. To get more bang for your buck, pop any exotic buffs you may have first, fire Quantum Singularity Manipulation, then smack them with your anti-time, and you'll get a bit more bang for your buck out of the ship that way. Then finally, we have our bridge officers. Now this is where it starts to come together a little bit. Now for this particular ship, it is basically a Federation raider of sorts. It is heavy on the universal seating. You have a Commander Tactical, 2 Lieutenant Universals, an Ensign Universal, and a Lieutenant Commander Universal. Now for the Commander Tactical, we have a Tactical Team 1. Then we have a Scatter Volley 1 and Fire at Will 3. This is going to take care of our firing modes for our turret and our beams. Then we also have our Delta 3, since we're assuming a tank in this instance. You could very easily take this to DPS if you wanted to. Now for our two Lieutenant Universals, we actually made these into engineers. For the first one we have our engineering team, which is going to give us a nice bit of hull healing, as well as our reverse shield polarity to recharge our shields in a pinch whenever they go down or drop really low. We have our emergency power to engines, which is a nice little boost to our engines when we need, and a nice little thing that can help you get the heck out of Dodge in a hurry. Then we have emergency power to weapons 2. This is going to be a nice boost to our weapons, as well as a damage boost. Then for our Ensign Universal, we have a transfer shield strength 1. It's going to recharge our shields a bit when we need it. For Lieutenant Commander Universal, we have a hazard emitters 1. Nice little heal over time. Purges certain things like Borg Plasma Fire. We have our Science Team 2, which is going to heal our shields a bit, purging certain things like subnucleonic-based debuffs. And then finally, our Gravity Well 1. This is going to be more so used for the zero-distance threat gen that it can give you, because as far as enemies are concerned, when you pop a Grav Well, you're right on top of them. It's going to generate more threat for you, and gives a bit of control to the build. But overall, this is going to put us into a good position to prepare for Tier 6 and get us ready for that. Thoughts from you, Sir Artie, since you're our resident Aquarius pilot?
So, the fun thing I like about this, along with the build itself, is that it's a very versatile build for being a tank on the Aquarius. Like, myself, I wouldn't have done the Gravwell, but since we're going on threat generation, then yeah, Gravwell makes sense. Which also ties in, you know, getting a bunch of enemies in one spot. Then you have Scatter Volley and Beam Fire at Will, so that works as well with that. The fun thing I do like about this is that if a Klingon had the opposite of this ship, which would be the host Su, which would be basically the same 1-to-1 as Klingon, they can easily do the same build, except that they would have to find a replacement for Honored Dead unless they did have the sarcophagus. So, besides that, this is a very good build to use on both Federation and Klingon if they had the proper ships for it. For the actual equipment used, it looks very well done. I do like the use of the piezoelectric focuser because, as you said, it would add into extra plasma damage. So, yeah, I think this is just a really jolly good, working build for itself. I can't wait to see what happens when we get to the Tier 6 reputation stuff.
Indeed. Now, a couple of quick tips I will add for the ship. Now, the turret you could potentially replace with a biomole turret you have right now and get the 2-set bonus if you wanted to go ahead and do that. The only downside to that is it wouldn't benefit from your plasma consoles, but it is something to be aware of, that it would buff everything else overall. Then, once you get a little bit more energy credits, you could potentially swap out the reinforced armaments for the Plasma Wave console. As a universal console you can pick up off the exchange, comes out of the Infinity Box now, and that's going to get you even more plasma damage and a Plasma Lance type of ability. So there's definitely room to grow here.
Oh yeah. The other fun thing I do like about this is that although it's, Scatter Volley, Beam Fire at Will, Gravity Well, with this, plus the Raider flanking, I do think this would be a very optimal build to easily be DPS alongside with tank. So, I would say this is more of a hybrid, but it is geared for tank. So that's what I like about it.
Yep. But anyways, that's what we have for our budget build this evening. Now, once we get access to the Tier 6 reputations, and we actually have had time to unlock it, we'll revisit this ship, we'll do a part 2, and we'll see some of the changes we would make once we get there. But for now, I actually do have one thing I want to go over for the Bugs Corner with you guys. And one of the things I have gotten some complaints of from people is that whenever they go into their episodes area, there may be a particular arc that they're not able to replay. Like in my case, it was future-proof for a little bit. It would not let me replay it. The replay button was actually gone. So there is actually something to look for you guys. Now, what I had to do was I had to go through the mission journal, because I've played most of these missions before. I had to go back and look at some of the different missions, and it was actually Terminal Expanse saying that I hadn't played it before. So I had to skip Terminal Expanse and skip Survivor, and then that opened up the Future-Proof arc for me again. Now, there are a couple of missions that got added, which is the Task Force Operation type handoffs, like you can see here in Klingon War. On a Fed tune, you've got Task Force Operation Romulan Imperial Minefield. Now, that's something you're going to have to go into and either run the mission or skip it in order to access some of the later arcs. So if you're having that issue, check for this first. And if it's still not letting you do it, then file a bug report and, you know, get it to me, get it to Artie, get it to one of the other screwballs on the show. We'll see about helping you with that. Or perhaps even the devs directly on the forum might have a solution for you. But I am working overtime along with the rest of the test monkeys to try to find as many of these bugs as we can for you folks. I know there's a lot of issues that people have been reporting, and a lot of stuff the devs have been working on. I'm trying not to give Kale too many gray hairs from reporting so many bugs at once, but I did want to at least go over that for you guys, even though I'm sure y'all are probably tired of hearing me talk at this point. But anyways, that's what we've got for a show this evening. Artie's kind of working with his bunch to get some more RP stuff for y'all and kind of feel out the new Discovery stuff, so hopefully he should have some more RP content for you guys pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
But for now, folks, that's what we have for a show this evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, everything, and on our way out, shout out to our good friends over at the Temporal Armada, a very cool bunch of people. Be sure to check out their program as well. Also, a shout out to our other good friends over at the Kurtang Pirate Radio. The party is there. And they always have a good selection of stuff going on. Gotta give them credit for that. That's why we stream them usually on the little music bot we have in my TeamSpeak server. But anyways, if you've got any requests for the Budget Builds Corner, feel free to let us know. We take all kinds of requests. You know, let us know, hey, this is the kind of ship I've got, this is what I'm looking for. I'm wanting more of a tank or a damage dealer, or I'm wanting more of a theme type of build. Let us know, hey, this is, I've really only got a bare bones type of budget, or yeah, I've got a little bit I can invest into it, or if you're wanting even something more high end. We take all kinds of build requests and let us know what you're looking for and we'll hook you up. If you think that your ship and your gear are in order, but maybe it's just your piloting needs a little bit of work, get a brief little video clip of your piloting to us and send that to us through YouTube or Facebook or anywhere you can find us, and we'll help you improve there and offer you some different tips and tricks. If you have any bugs, feel free to let us know. We'll pass those along to the devs, make sure that they see them. If you've got any requests for the RP Corner, feel free to let Artie know, and we might just talk about your topic on air. But for now, folks, this is the Pilot Review Show. We hope you guys are enjoying Age of Discovery. And also reminding you folks, have your tribbles spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.